Now, before we start talking about the timeline of events, I want you to hear this audio clip from Jeffrey Epstein himself.
So how do you know this?
That was close to straight.
So I need the Donald. Just give me Donald.
It's fun.
All right, so they seem friendly. Epstein says they've been friends for 10 years.
So I need the Donald. Just give me Donald.
It's fun. So you probably know he had a scalp reduction. Because he had the same male pattern model that we all have. He had his scalp sterile. Donald's office, as you know, he made that call. He used to be on the phone and said, it's fake PR or something. Mm-hmm. I also found it funny. I was sitting there listening to the guys from the Post Club, and Donald would say, he's a great guy. I loved working with him. And I sit there going, this is just amazing. And he'd say, Michael, come on, let's go to the office. And he'd say, tell me, what's it like now? He'd say, you like having sex with your wife? How often do you? He'd say, it's great. Seriously, Michael, how often do we have sex? Don't you want to try? You and I can go upstairs, or tomorrow come over. There's this girl's coming in from Los Angeles, part of the Hawaiian Tropic So come over with your car. You're gonna have a great time. I promise you, Michael. It's just me and you. You're gonna have a great time. Be up here too.
If you couldn't make out what he said here, it was clear as day. He said him and Donald Trump are friends, potentially best friends. They've had a relationship for a very, very long time. So let's start at the beginning, because this story has more layers than a wedding cake at a Kardashian ceremony. We're going back to 1987. Yeah, that's right. When Trump was still just a real estate mogul with big hair and even bigger ambitions. And Jeffrey Epstein was building his network of wealthy and powerful contacts. Picture this, it's the late 80s and early 90s, and Trump and Epstein are running in the same elite social circles. Think of it like two kids at the coolest lunch table in the most exclusive private school. Except instead of trading Pokemon cards, they're trading connections to power and influence. Their friendship spans at least 15 years, documented through photographs, video footage, and witness testimony that reads like a Hollywood script nobody wanted to write. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And by interesting, I mean deeply uncomfortable. In 2002, Trump gave an interview to New York Magazine where he called Epstein a terrific guy and said, and I quote, "He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." This is what he said. That's the quote. That quote has aged about as well as milk left in a hot car during summer vacation. Spoiled. Video footage from 1992 shows these two partying together at Mar-a-Lago, a name I'm sure we're all very familiar with at this point, surrounded by young women, including NFL cheerleaders. Trump's doing the same dance move he now uses at campaign rallies, because apparently some things never change. They truly don't. At that time, Epstein described Trump as his best friend. That's not a term you just use casually. It's like watching old yearbook photos of your high school friends, except one of them turned out to be a convicted sex offender. The flight logs tell their own story. Trump's name appears 7 times on Epstein's private jet, the infamous Lolita Express, with flights as early as October 1993. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, flying on someone's private jet doesn't automatically make you guilty of their crimes. It's like being Facebook friends with someone who later gets arrested. Awkward? Yes, but not necessarily a criminal. Well, not a provable criminal at the very least. But You can tell there's a connection. But here's where the plot thickens like bad gravy. According to reports, Epstein was allegedly a member of Mar-a-Lago, Trump's exclusive Palm Beach club. Think of Mar-a-Lago as the VIP section of the already exclusive world of the ultra-wealthy. However, by October 2007, Epstein was reportedly banned from the club after being caught hitting on members' teenage daughter. It's like getting your membership revoked from the country club, except the stakes are infinitely higher. The relationship between Trump and Epstein apparently soured by 2005, reportedly over a real estate dispute, because nothing says friendship over like a good old-fashioned property disagreement among billionaires. When in doubt, what matters the most is that munyan, that moolah, that ka-ching in their pockets. It's like when friends fall out over who gets to keep the Netflix password, except with way more zeros involved. Now, fast forward to 2019. Epstein gets arrested on federal sex trafficking charges, and suddenly Trump is doing the political equivalent of changing his relationship status to "it's complicated." He claims he hadn't spoke to Epstein in 15 years due to a falling out, and states, "I was not a fan of his." We know Trump lies all the time. Trump also denied that Epstein was ever a member of Mar-a-Lago, which contradicts earlier reports. It's like trying to delete embarrassing photos from your social media after they've already gone viral. The evidence is there, buddy. You can lie as much as you want. But wait, there's more. Enter Stacey Williams, a former model who came forward with allegations that add another layer to this already complex story. Williams claims that in late winter or early spring of 1993, while she was casually dating Epstein, Trump groped her during a visit to Trump Tower. She describes feeling confused and frozen during the alleged incident, stating that Trump put his hands all over my breasts, my waist, and my butt, while he and Epstein continued their conversation and smiled at each other. You can kind of visual an evil villain right in front of you, right? The picture is very clear, and honestly, it wouldn't be surprising. We're talking about Donald Trump of all people, the person who said, "Grab her by the guy that was saying that weird stuff about women." Yeah, that guy. Williams believed it was some sort of sick bet or game between the two of them, which, if true, is more disturbing than any reality TV show ever conceived. She claims Epstein later berated her for letting Trump do that, and she severed ties with Epstein after this encounter. Trump's campaign denied these allegations, with spokesperson Caroline Leavitt calling them equivocally false. Caroline's gonna lie. We all know this. Come on, she's lied multiple times already. But before we dive into the political promises and broken expectations, we need to talk about the people who are supposed to handle this mess. Because, trust me, this is where the plot gets thicker than a Marvel movie with too many characters. Some of them are good. A lot of them are bad, though. I'm looking at you, Secret Invasion, and you, Defenders. Let's start with Alexander Acosta, because his story is crucial to understanding how he got here. Back in 2008, when Acosta was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, he oversaw what can only be described as the most controversial plea deal in recent memory. Picture this: Jeffrey Epstein, facing federal charges for sexually abusing dozens of underage girls, gets a deal that would make a mob lawyer jealous. That deal was so sweetheart, it makes your grandmother's apple pie seem bitter. Epstein pled guilty to just 2 state charges of solicitation and got a measly 13 months in county jail, with work release privileges for most of the week. It's like getting grounded and being allowed to leave the house whenever you want. The federal non-prosecution agreement meant Epstein was essentially immune from federal charges. And here's the kicker: the victims weren't even told about the deal until after it was done. Fast forward to 2017, and guess who Donald Trump picks as his labor secretary? That's right, Alexander Acosta. It's like hiring the guy who let the fox into the henhouse to be the new head of henhouse security. When Epstein was arrested again in 2019 on new federal charges, suddenly everyone remembered Acosta's role in that sweetheart deal, and the heat got turned up to maximum. Trump initially defended Acosta, saying the plea deal was made a long time ago. You know, just like how Donald Trump now tries to say, oh, we were still talking about Epstein, trying to brush everything under the rug, of course. And that Acosta, and this is what he said about him, has been a great secretary. But when the political pressure, also that sounds very familiar to what he's saying about Pam Bondi, you know how everything kind of comes full circle. But when the political pressure became too much, Acosta resigned in July 2019. It's like when your friend gets caught doing something embarrassing and suddenly you're like, I don't know that guy. But there's more. The Department of Justice later found that Acosta exercised poor judgment in handling the Epstein case, though they stopped short of finding professional misconduct. It's like getting a participation trophy for doing your job badly. A federal judge even ruled that Acosta's office broke the law by not consulting with victims before making the deal. So yeah, the guy who gave Epstein the deal of the century ended up working for the guy who promised to expose Epstein's secrets. Funny how that works. Now let's talk about Pam Bondi, the woman under fire, the Trojan, well, not really the Trojan horse, but the bullseye at everybody's ire that people are looking at to lose her job, get fired, the scapegoat herself, because she's very much involved into this story too. And it's equally as fascinating and twice as frustrating. Bondi wasn't just Trump's attorney general in 2025. She was also Florida's attorney general from 2011 to 2019, which means she was in office during some of the most crucial years of the Epstein saga. It's like being the sheriff during the Wild West and then becoming the federal marshal years later. During her time as Florida's attorney general, Bondi was aware of the Epstein case and the controversial plea deal that had been made. She had the power to investigate further or challenge the deal, but nothing significant came of it. It's like having the keys to the vault, but deciding to leave it locked. She could have changed everything and truly punished this guy like he deserved, but she didn't. Wonder why? When Trump nominated Bondi as his attorney general in 2024, she came into the role with this complicated history. She'd been one of Trump's defense lawyers during his first impeachment trial in 2020, and by 2024, she was leading the legal arm of the Trump-aligned America First Party Institute. It's like being in the inner circle of the inner circle. And here's the wild part, the really wild part. When Epstein died by suicide in that Manhattan jail cell in August 2019, guess who was president? Donald Trump. The same guy who had hired Acosta, who had given Epstein the sweetheart deal, was now in charge when Epstein mysteriously died in federal custody. The irony is so thick you can cut it with a knife. Trump himself called Epstein's death a weird situation, where the cameras didn't happen to be working. He's not wrong. The circumstances were suspicious enough to make even the most trusting people raise an eyebrow. The cameras malfunctioned, the guards fell asleep, and the most high-profile prisoner in America just happened to kill himself before he could name names. It's like a conspiracy theory writing itself. I really liked how Abba in particular broke down the timeline of events, so I'm gonna play his audio clip right now.
Do you guys want me to give you the timeline, the whole Epstein self-deletion, so you guys can have
Sure,
it?
go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Absolutely.
Okay.
Indulge.
So, July 6th, 2019, Epstein is arrested at Teterboro Airport on trafficking charges. He's booked and enters the Metropolitan Correction Center in Manhattan, okay? He's placed in a special housing unit for protective custody pending his trial. Obviously, for somebody who's high risk, high profile, they don't keep him in general population. Doesn't make sense to, and this is a high profile person. Boom. July 18th, bail is denied. All right, he's classified as a flight risk and a danger to the community. July 23rd, which is about 5 days, Epstein is discovered semi-conscious, hanging from a bedsheet in what appears to be his first self-deletion attempt. Now, from July 23rd of when he tried to off himself till July 29th, he's placed on full self-deletion watch. Basically, they don't want him to take his own life. That's pretty normal to put yourself on watch. So he's observed in a designated cell to prevent self-harm. After 6 days, a psychologist removes him from watch, and then he's transferred back to SHU under enhanced psychological observation. Protocols had required a cellmate and 30-minute guard checks, but these were inconsistently followed. So from July 29th, we fast forward to August 9th. Epstein's cellmate is transferred out and no new cellmate is assigned, a direct violation of protocol. August 10th, Epstein meets with his attorneys and appears upbeat. Overnight, cellmate's gone. 2 guards falsify 30-minute check-ins and are found asleep. 2 surveillance cameras malfunctioned. 6:30 a.m., again, this is the day after he met with his lawyer, guards discover Epstein unresponsive and hanging from a bedsheet in his bunk. 9 minutes later, he's declared dead. So, a couple of things that were ignored. After he was put on watch, him put on watch for 6 days was a bit abnormal.
The official cause of death was ruled suicide by hanging, but the circumstances were so bizarre that even Trump, who's not exactly known for his subtlety, called it strange. The fact that this happened on his watch, with his appointees running the Justice Department, makes the whole situation even more politically toxic. Now, this is where campaign promises meet political reality, and it gets messier than a food fight in a kindergarten classroom. During his campaign and early presidency, Trump and his inner circle made concrete promises about releasing the Epstein files and exposing a supposed client list. It was like promising to reveal a secret ingredient in Coca-Cola everyone wanted to know, but nobody was sure it would actually happen. But they seemed confident. Key figures in Trump's orbit were all over the story like white on rice. JD Vance posted about the mysterious jail death and questioned why the government would keep clients secret. Kash Patel specifically told media personalities that the FBI had under Biden had direct control of Epstein's black book and that Trump should roll out the black book on day one. Dan Bonino claimed people in the Washington swamp weren't telling the truth about serious allegations. Even RFK Jr. was promoting theories that there was more to the Epstein story. All those names sound very familiar. Well, these are all the people in office right now. Even his son, Donald Trump Jr., questioned how his father could be convicted of 34 crimes while no one on Epstein's list has ever been brought to light. The promises escalated dramatically once Trump took office. Attorney General Pam Bondi and Counselor Alina Habba made specific commitments that sounded like they were straight out of a campaign commercial. In February 2025, Bondi told Fox News that the Epstein files were sitting on my desk right now to review, and promised that tomorrow you're going to see some information about Epstein being released, including a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, and a lot of informations. Habba appeared on Piers Morgan's show stating they would deliver promises made, promises kept. When asked if criminal actions would be taken, she responded, absolutely, adding that you have to hold individuals who are indeed rapists accountable. She even brought up the idea that there's no way that this list doesn't exist and that there's no way that people wouldn't be held to justice. Paraphrasing there. By March 2025, Bondi claimed that the FBI delivered a truckload of files with thousands of pages of documents, declaring it's a new day, it's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. But this is where everything starts crashing down like a house of cards in a hurricane. As of July 2025, the Justice Department released a memo that was about as anticlimactic as the final season of Game of Thrones. Their systematic review revealed no incriminating client list and confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide, concluding that no further disclosure will be appropriate or warranted. So, no list, no names. Strange. I'm sure we all agree to that. The actual release of the files was criticized as a damp squib. And for those who don't know British slang, that's basically calling it a complete disappointment. The files contain mostly redacted material and information already disclosed through court proceedings. Pam Bondi admitted receiving only 200 pages despite reports that 1,000 more existed, leading critics to describe it as a smokescreen designed to protect her and protect the administration and potentially protect Donald Trump rather than expose it to the people. And it gets even messier from there. Pam Bondi later claimed she was duped into thinking she had all the files related to the Epstein investigations. She told Fox News host Mark Levin that she was essentially misled about what materials were available. It's like ordering a full meal and getting served crackers, then finding out the restaurant had a whole buffet in the back room. The Associated Press spoke with lawyers and law enforcement officials who said they hadn't seen and didn't know of the trove of recordings and evidence that Bondi has been describing. It's like talking about a movie everyone claims to have seen, but nobody can actually find. Bondi's handling of the situation even ruffled feathers within the White House, with sources saying that her decision to trumpet the release of files that contain little new information created problems internally. What makes this particularly frustrating is that Bondi has been in a position to know about this case for years. As Florida's Attorney General during the height of the Epstein scandal, she had access to information and the power to investigate for a very long time. Now, as Trump's Attorney General, the ultimate position itself, she's essentially saying she was caught off guard by the lack of smoking gun evidence. It's like being the person who was supposed to watch the house, then acting surprised when someone else asks where all the furniture went. It doesn't make sense. You're supposed to be the one who knows all this stuff. But it doesn't end there. There's some other information that I do think is very important to note, because Jeffrey Epstein's own brother has been throwing serious shade and accusations at the Trump administration. Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's older brother, has been particularly vocal about his suspicions regarding his brother's death and his thoughts on Trump's handling of the case. In a recent interview with News Nation's Chris Cuomo, Mark expressed this belief at the official conclusion that Jeffrey died by suicide, stating, "Every time they say something or do something to try to quash the fact that he was most likely murdered, they just put their foot further down their mouth." But the criticism doesn't stop there. He goes beyond just questioning the suicide ruling. He's also been making some explosive claims about what his brother really thought of Trump. According to Mark, Jeffrey Epstein actually dumped Trump, not the other way around as now Trump claims. Mark Epstein told Piers Morgan that Epstein halted his relationship with Trump once he realized he was a crook. It's like finding out your ex was actually the one who wanted to break up with you all along. Mark Epstein said Jeffrey made the comments in an unreleased interview with Steve Bannon. So while Trump was calling Epstein a terrific guy in public, Jeffrey was apparently telling people he thought Trump was crooked. It's like discovering your friend was talking trash about you behind your back while smiling to your face. It's interesting how this works. Two friends who are saying the worst things about each other when in reality, they're both bad. Mark Epstein specifically targeted FBI Director Patel, questioning his ability to determine cause of death without medical expertise. The timing of Mark's recent statements is particularly interesting because they come right after the Department of Justice released a memo concluding they couldn't find any evidence. Matter of fact, Mark Epstein went as so far to say that Donald Trump was potentially the one who got rid of him. This stark contradiction to years of promises created massive backlash from Trump's ardent supporters. Alex Jones, who's never been one to hold back his emotions, said, "I'm going to throw up," actually with tears in his eyes. Former Trump spokeswoman Liz Harrington posted, "Shut down the FBI." And Tucker Carlin asked, "Why is Pam Bondi's Justice Department covering up Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and murder?" And when they had the ability to answer the questions about this after all this crazy thing going on, Donald Trump finally spoke up and he said,
"And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable."
Like I said earlier, trying to bury this under the rug. But just when you thought this story couldn't get any more dramatic, enter Elon Musk with the political equivalent of throwing a grenade into a already burning building, going on Twitter and saying Donald Trump's name is on the Epstein list, and that's why it won't be released. Now, keep in mind, this is all circumstantial evidence. What is undeniable is that Donald Trump has a long history with Jeffrey Epstein, that a lot of people associate with Donald Trump. Pam Bondi and Alexander Acosta have been very much involved with this case. He's been accused of doing a lot of shady stuff. He's been seen in a lot of shady areas, but there's no factual, verifiable evidence he's done anything. I mean, if that evidence existed, it would make sense why the person who it's about would not want that evidence to get out. But that's all speculation. That's all allegations. I find it strange. I find it weird. We got people saying that it exists, and now people are saying it doesn't exist, and people saying that certain names are on there and then deleting their tweets. Donald Trump is a very petty man, very emotional man, very powerful man. so none of this surprises me personally. But I wanted to articulate the full history of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Something that I knew, but I felt like it was important to truly go over everything. Because sometimes people hear things, but unless you tell them the full story, the introduction, chapter 1 to chapter 10, and the conclusion, it won't truly click in their brains. There's a lot of interesting names in this. A lot of people making strong allegations. A lot of people now apparently quiet. I haven't even mentioned people like Charlie Cuck, for example, and so many other MAGA content creators out there. So a lot of people are angry. And Donald Trump is now trying to protect Pam Bondi. And now Donald Trump is in a situation where a lot of people are not happy. Where MAGA is finally potentially seeing how bad this dude is. He's getting called out. Some people even claiming that this may lose them the midterm elections. Because ultimately, it's impossible to say for sure if it was a suicide or if it was intentional. If the list exists or it doesn't exist. But when you propagate this messaging with you and your base for so long, saying, using this as a means to get yourself elected as president, having the ability and saying while you are in office that you have the documents, you just are waiting to release them, and now there's nothing. Donald Trump, you may be a master manipulator, but your base is not that stupid. They're not that dumb.